Hey guys, welcome back. More anime first impressions. This will probably be my last set of these because so much stuff came out. By the time if I were to do all of them, literally every show that came out this season, I would still be doing these by the time the next season starts. So this is probably where I'm going to cut these off at. The first one I want to talk about was Black Bullet, which it was kind of disappointing because a surprising amount of not much happens. We established that it's what if the T virus was an STD is kind of what I got from all this. There's some kind of a virus that is infecting people and it's turning them into giant T virus monsters. The one that you see in the episode is a giant spider, which first of all, just no. I hate spiders. But then I'm kind of like, okay, like I'm following this so far, kind of. But I kind of got the impression, even before that, that's kind of like, this is not written by an adult, is kind of the impression that I got. Because it honestly, like, it felt like something that I would have written when I was like 14 years old or 15, when I would write like fan fiction. It's embarrassing to admit, but yeah, I was pretty crazy into the fan fiction thing. I still have, like, my big sister printed out a whole ton of it. And honestly, what it felt like was that it was all being written from the point of view of a little boy who was basically just inserting himself as the main character and writing out what he wanted to happen. You know, from the agent, like the kid showing up at a crime scene and then looking at his badge and be like, "You're an agent, but you're just a kid." That's totally the kind of thing that a little kid would, like a boy would write. You know, imagining himself as the badass and being like, "Oh, I'm little, but don't underestimate me because I'm all the hope that you have left," and being like super cool and like announcing his attacks as he does them, despite this being what I think is taking itself pretty seriously. But he announces his kung fu attacks like it's a fucking Sentai show. That's Portland for you. Okay, well then how's the action? Well, as I mentioned, there's a big jumping spider in this episode, and a little girl shows up to fight it. And I guess she's like one of the agents or something. And then the spider shoots its bug juice all over this little adolescent girl. And that's when I was done. I was like, nope, I'm out. I'm done. And she's like, "Oh, it's all warm and sticky." I'm like, "No, we're done." Before the police come knocking on my door, we're done. It didn't get much better than that, because then like the guy shows up and like he shoots the spider with like a special bullet. And the dialogue that exchanges right then to explain the bullet, like, it just doesn't make any sense. Like, there's a guy watching, and he's like, "Oh, you can't stop it with normal bullets." And then the agent shoots the spider with the special bullet, and he goes, "Oh, that's the special bullet that I didn't know about until just now, but now I know everything about it." It was stupid. So, okay, they established there's a special metal that hurts these monsters. They hate it. He shoots it and hurts the spider. Okay, you established that part. But then the little girl does like this kung fu kick thing, and it kills the spider too. So apparently, it's not a matter of elements. It's not just the special metal that does it. You just have to be strong enough to do damage to it. And then I'm not kidding. As the ending credits are playing, then they explain the backstory, the setting of the world, what's brought us to this point. They waited until the last minute to cram in all the exposition. So, not a fan of Black Bullet. Probably not going to follow up on it. I might. I've heard that the episodes get better. That wouldn't be hard to accomplish. But it wasn't like the most offensive thing ever. We'll get to that. But what I want to talk about next was Chaika The Coffin Princess. And I expected next to nothing. Like, I just looked at some of the art and I was kind of like, it's actually pretty good. It's decent. Again, though, I will still stand that the art isn't particularly outstanding. It's not really memorable. In fact, it's a little cookie cutter in some places. But the characters are enticing. It kind of reminded me of Captain Earth because they focus on the characters and they throw a bunch of mumbo-jumbo around that you don't really acknowledge right away. but that's not where they put the focus in. The focus is on establishing the characters, and that works. Captain Earth did it better, but they did it well too. Chaika the Coffin Princess, the main girl, the one strike I would say against this show is that she is what you would consider a lolly, like a Lolita character. And I'm just so sick of that. We have too much of that as it is. But, nonetheless, outside of the physical appearance, she's an interesting character. Her vocabulary is very limited. She can only speak a few words at a time, and it's not really in any constructive sentence. Think kind of like what you would think a caveman would talk like if he was brought back, like Encino Man or Oog, if for those of you that watch Aqua Teen Hunger Force. Very, very limited vocabulary, but they do really well with this, and this is an example of good characterization. She does have a very limited vocabulary, but she's not stupid. Like, she understands what's being said to her. People will, talk back just like they normally would, and she follows every pace of the way. So, she's an interesting character. The guy that she meets is not quite as interesting. At least not on his own. He's incredibly pessimistic, and that's what I like about him. His pessimism bouncing off of other people is what makes him interesting to me. If the show was just about him, it'd probably be pretty boring. And then he has a sister character who is duller than dull. She's just your typical, like, oh, I have no emotion, but I kick ass kind of character. I don't know, they could develop that later, but that's just the impression I got from the first episode. I'd say give it a watch. I mean, it's not a bad way to spend 20 minutes. Unlike No Game, No Life, which was fucking stupid. I could not believe how bad that was, considering, like, it was almost the exact opposite of Chaika, because I looked at the art and I was kind of like, oh, that's interesting. It looks like they're pulling off what Akuma no Riddle was trying to pull off, if that makes any kind of sense. So I was like, okay, whatever. Basically what the plot boils down to, and I got this in the first few seconds, was it's another, oh no, we've been sucked into a game world and now we have to whatever kind of shows. But it's awful. Like, I watched like an episode of Log Horizon a little bit ago and I didn't like it at all. This makes Log Horizon look like the first 7 episodes of Sword Art Online. Like, it's stupid. Holy crap. It's basically everything in it was wrong, but the two biggest things that were wrong was the exposition and the characters. The exposition, they obviously didn't know any other way to set up the game world's existence other than to literally have a character drop out of the sky and spill out the 7 commandments of the world, basically. The other big issue is the characters. The characters are, it's wish fulfillment. It is the most blatant wish fulfillment that I've seen, again, since Sword Art Online. It's basically just, oh, don't you poor nerds just feel so subjected and no one understands you? Don't you just wish that that everyone understood you better and they admired you? Well, live vicariously through No Game, No Life. That's all it is. It's just this guy. The guy has 0 character traits outside of the fact that he's a cheater. That's the other thing I didn't get, is that they try and establish really quickly that he's like this expert pro gamer and he can like control 4 different characters with like a mouse in each hand and a mouse on each foot. But like the next time you see him when he's in the game world, he's blatantly cheating. Like he admits like, oh well, it doesn't count if you don't get caught. It's kind of like, well, what the is he good or is he a cheater? I don't understand. It's not very admirable and it's very confusing. Also, as long as we're talking about not admirable, he bangs his sister. I don't care what you say in the comments. He bangs his sister. Dear Japan, not every one of us wants to bang our sister, okay? I'm so sick of this. The very first shot of her character is literally her, like, they're doing the thing where she's, like, leaning back and she has her legs folded up to her chest. Literally, the first shot of her character is her doing that, but it's down at, like, her crotch. And she's not wearing any pants. She's just wearing, like, panties and a shirt. That's the first thing we see of her character, because that's all that's important about her, apparently. It's just, bam. I couldn't believe what I was watching. It was so blatantly dumb. Maybe if you like the whole we got trapped in a game world thing, there might be something that you could salvage. I really don't think so. I've seen people defending Sword Art Online, not many of them. This goes above and beyond that. Like, the reason people talk about Sword Art Online so much is because the first part of it was so good, and then they went downhill. This hasn't even gotten up the hill to go down it. This already is starting on rock bottom, so I cannot diss this show enough. I say screw No Game No Life. It is repulsive. But I wanted this on a good note. And the fourth show that I watched was 1 Week Friends. Holy shit, this could be the cutest show I've ever seen in my life. This could be my new Sakura trick. Sakura trick was adorable, but it gets a little repetitive. However, I haven't finished it, so don't hold me to that. Maybe once I finish it, they'll change it a little bit. This already is very, very promising. 1 Week Friends is basically, I almost don't even want to spoil it for anybody. I went into it blind, but it's basically just about a guy that wants to he sees this lonely little girl, and he reaches out, you know, just wanting to be like, hey, do you want to be friends? But he finds that she doesn't want to form friendships because she has a memory issue where she loses her memory of any new memory in a week. First of all, that is really silly. Like, that's dumb. That's not a real thing. To some extent. I mean, some people do have trouble with short-term memory. In the show, they're very selective. They're like, oh, she can learn new, like, school things, but she can't learn, like, new people and memories. It's like, it's one or the other. It's not, you don't, in real life, you don't differentiate. But I don't want to stress this. That's not the point. I get that that's not the point, okay? I like the show. The point is the characters. Holy crap, they're so charming. The exact opposite of No Game No Life, because they're so well done. They get across so much without needing to have somebody like spell it out for you in dialogue or in exposition. Just the little moments, the little things, little pieces of dialogue, little looks. They get a lot done, and I was really impressed. You know, I mean, the main guy, I forgot his name already. I'm sorry, but they kind of hint that he's attracted to her, but it's more, you get the sense that he just genuinely doesn't like seeing somebody alone. Like, he sees this girl shut out from the rest of the class. Granted, she's doing it herself, but he sees her like this, and he's just like, oh, you poor thing, I'll be your friend. He's just reaching out. He's a good guy. And at the same time, you get the sense that she's a good person, not right away, but when you find out the reason that she's pushing people away, you know, she doesn't hurt them, and so she doesn't hurt herself by, you know, forgetting everything. You know, she's a good person too. They're good people. The one thing I'm cautious about with this show, and it's not even a bad thing, but the one thing I'm cautious about is that this show could end up breaking a lot of hearts. Like, it could end up being really, really, really sad. And I really hope it doesn't. But whether it ends up really heartbreaking or they live happily ever after, as long as they can keep this up with the characterization and stuff like that, I think this could be like one of the best ones out of the season. Aside from Ushishi and JoJo, I think this could be one of the best like new ones. You know, things that aren't sequels. So I wholeheartedly recommend 1 Week Friends. It is adorable. I kind of want to just stop this and go watch an episode right now. So I'll come back to you guys in a little bit with the... I'll sum up the whole season in just one little quick video. So until then, take care. Bye.